Well, hi to everyone, subscribers and people who are commenting recently. Hi to Jay, welcome back to YouTube, and really interesting things to talk about there. You know that God is a God of holiness, and He does expect us to live in that holiness. It's a command from our Lord Jesus, and something that many of us have different opinions about, even struggle about. I think all of us, from time to time, are at least tempted in some way. Whether it be, having a girlfriend or boyfriend outside of marriage, whether it be taking drugs, whether it be, watching a TV program that has explicit material in it. That there's many different ways that that the flesh can raise its ugly head, as it were, and try to tempt us. So it's a battle. It's a battle. I've found, obviously, in traveling, serving the Lord, that basically the Holy Spirit is at work more. So, hallelujah. So that's just my findings about it. But I just really wanted to talk about in this video President Trump and the fact that apparently said he's the chosen one to take on China. And, there's visions from Dmitry Dudman, who lived about 30 years ago, was in America, and his visions were that China and Russia would join together against America. And these are the days that we're living in right now. We can see it just happening before us. And America or any other country hasn't been in any severe conflict with their nation advocating homosexuality, advocating transsexual behaviour, promoting even transhumanism in some cases. Apparently in some of the super soldier testimonies about the technology that super soldiers use, even the microchips and Mark of the Beast, the whole system. So some people have said, and it seems to be in Dimitri's visions and also Henry Gruver's visions, that there has to be this third world war to happen, so that this one world religion, new world order thing can really begin proper, like worldwide. So this seems to be the stage that we're at just now. I've spoken about this for over 10 years that I've been on YouTube. I've spoken about this. I've never made videos about the rapture. I've never made videos about we're going to get raptured out here next week or whenever. I've told you that there's specific things that have got to happen first, according to what God has shown me, according to what God has shown, I believe, true prophets of the Lord. And I've named them: Henry Gruver, Dmitry Dudman, I think is the way you pronounce that one. Some people have said that now, Dimitri's organization is really all about, taking care of themselves, feeding themselves. But you got to understand that the ministers and their families have got to live and have got to feed themselves, as well as the children and the orphans that they're taking care of. That's just common sense. As long as they're not overindulging themselves, which I pray that they're not. But you understand that one man can't live an entire family's life for them. The blessings of God will be upon them because God has used a family member, or that God has set up an organization. But the important thing is, we're seeking to serve God. Ask the Lord about how you're to use your resources for His glory, and I think that that's important. But obviously, the days that we're coming to, we're going to need more of God's guidance. We're going to need more of the Lord's assistance and guidance, and the extravagant giving, and just like, the, what would you say, endless and extravagant even love that God has for us. And I don't believe in unconditional love, but I believe in the agape love. I believe in the very powerful love. I believe in love, yes, but I don't believe in unconditional, because if we sin, then God's blessings can gradually, through grace, they can stop in our life, and they can cause curses to come, and we don't want that. That's why God's love isn't unconditional. Recently watching a video of one of the street preachers that I watch, and this heckler was saying, how can you believe in God if you haven't seen God? You say, oh, you believe in Jesus, have you seen Jesus? No, you haven't seen him. How can you believe in him? Well, I had this revelation. Oh, you thought you saw something, you had a hallucination. So she was going on like that, and then the preacher just calmly asked her, so who do you believe in? Do you believe in the devil? And she says, yes, of course I believe in the devil, without even thinking. And he said, have you seen the devil? And she thought, and she was like, no, I haven't seen him. So the same rhetoric, is just catching her out in her illogical hate speech. That's exactly what it is. If you're out there sharing the gospel and you're getting that type of opposition, oh, you're trying to force us to believe in your God. Not at all. These demons are out in force, forcing people, trying to force people away from faith, trying to force people to curse God, trying to force people into sin. That's what these demons' jobs are. But then when there's someone standing for God, and then these demons are challenged, you see it in your own neighbourhood. I remember when I went out preaching in my local town, and I was amazed at about half of the people that came up to me. And there is a Masonic lodge in one of the town I used to stay in. Probably all the towns I used to stay in, but in this one in particular. And about half of them were telling me, they're openly telling me they were part of the Masonic lodge, and they were part of a certain church that I was preaching outside. So there's strongholds, there's demonic strongholds in churches, in towns, that really one or even two people, even preaching the gospel in that town, it would take them, it'd take you to do that. Sometimes you can't get someone to preach with you, so that's why I've been preaching alone a lot. But if you go out there alone and do it, or you get someone to preach with, you see all the demonic activity that starts to happen. Usually when you start preaching, they can use different tactics. They might be really nice to you to start with, and if you keep on preaching, then they find a way to get you. They find a way to bring you down. And I remember as I continued doing witnessing and preaching in my town, the biggest attack I got was when I spoke to a Catholic priest. And I remember the first time I spoke to one of the Catholic priests in my local town, and he was very open that he used drugs while he was in learning the priesthood. That he basically said that all the priests were openly using drugs, smoking marijuana and so on. And he said that when he was in Ireland, and they used to go above the actual building that used to be in the college or whatever priest school where they were at, and they were smoking marijuana, and regularly they would see lights in the sky moving. I'm talking about UFOs. One of the flyers I was giving out was Flyer 8, I think it was, which was about what these aliens are and the connection with Satan's kingdom. And you know, the first time you know, as I spoke to him, he was very complimentary of me going out, sharing something about Jesus and speaking about a certain aspect. But he must have obviously went home and read the flyer, and then when he saw me like a couple of weeks later, I could tell that he was just focused. He had something to tell me, as it were. And I can't remember whatever flyer was giving out that day, maybe doing a bit of preaching. And he took the flyer, but he directly asked me, he said, look, you got to come to the Catholic Church and take whatever word he used, it was like, it wasn't the Lord's Supper, or I forget the exact word he used, the chalice and the whatever, the transubstantiation, you know, the Lord's body and the blood and all that. And I just said, well, do I have to do that to be saved? And he said yes. He just directly, you know, he spoke to me for about 10, 15 minutes, but you could tell he just wanted to invite me to this, you know. And they believe that you got to take this Catholic transubstantiation to be saved as a Catholic. Me personally, I can do that with other believers. I can buy bread, pray over it, get some wine or grape juice, pray over that, and we can have the Lord's Supper. I don't need to go to a Catholic church. I really don't need to go to any church to observe that. So what I said was, I can't exactly remember what I said, but I said, well, generally I don't tend to take part in these things in churches, because I'm not so certain that is the Lord's body that is being presented. And I wasn't specific about the Catholic Church or any church, because I know there's Protestant churches that are very dubious as well. You know, the Plymouth Brethren was started by a Jesuit priest. So that's basically what I told him. I said, I won't be going. So that night, you know, after I had prayed, I was sleeping and I was awakened by my body was actually moving. It was actually being pushed. I was almost being pushed out of my bed. That's what it felt like. But I remember just awakening, and then my body was moving like this. It was like a spirit that was trying to enter me, and I was having a vision. I had a couple of dreams I remember that night, and it was very Illuminati-esque. It was like a demon that was coming at me with a triangle in the eye. It was doing this, like making a triangle sign in its eye, and it was talking to me. It's very like Illuminati, like one of the Illuminati demons you see. And it was also trying to get me to make some kind of record deal or something. I mean, I'm not the most gifted musician in the world, but I've certainly, I'm a good songwriter. I know that for certain. There's not a lot of musicians that know me as a songwriter, because I'm not a great musician. But I know I'm a very good songwriter, but this thing was trying to get me to make a deal with it, you know, to make some type of record deal, to make music. And I was just rebuking it. I was just rejecting it. So, you know, listen, the demonic realm is real. The days that we're coming into is going to be the time of Jacob's trouble, as it were. And all the nations are going to gather against the Zionist Israelis, because God is going to allow Satan to use Zionism to bring the world together against Israel. And that is going to be close to the time when Yeshua will come back for his people, wherever they are scattered around the world. But he'll also come back and he'll defend a remnant of the Jewish people as well. I believe that's what the Bible teaches in Zechariah 14. So I hope that something I've said has enlightened someone in their understanding today, and encouraged someone. I hope you've gotten to know me a little bit better, and please leave a comment so I can get to know you a little bit more. And also pray that I can get out doing more street preaching here in West Africa. Thank you.